We were going back to the ship, the name of which I forget, and didn't
Savory
really matter.
Lady. What is it? The Savory Lady that you got?
It could be. Sounds right. But it didn't really matter because the hobgoblins were pulling something out of the ocean, and it was some sort of silver sphere that they had caught in a net. It immediately, little hatches opened up and mechanical legs came out so that it could begin to crawl away. We approached it, or Brachius approached it to look at it. Lord Gloombright appeared right behind it. Roughstool attacked Gloombright, which caused the silver sphere to explode. At which point we found that at least Fishay and Brachius were on Mechanus, in Mechanus. I'm not sure if it's a plane or a planet. Roughstool was nowhere to be seen. Gloombright was nowhere to be seen. We immediately ran into Scuttlebutt, who was also brought there by a silver sphere. I'm blanking. What's the name of the farmer?
Tobias Eddington.
Yeah, Tobias, who mistakenly believes he's Brachius's retainer when he's clearly not. he apparently, however, has picked up some bard skills, but they're like slow to kick in. So it takes him like a minute to warm up before he can use his bard skills.
Gotta get limber,
But Brachius, we saw a temple in the distance. Brachius realized that the figure on the top of the temple was of Prime One, sometimes called Primus, the keeper of all order, who removes all of the duplicates from the multiverse. Although I assume by that what you mean is when you have two duplicates in the same universe, he removes one. Not that he's out there trying to remove duplicates across the multiverse.
Correct.
So you could have different duplicates just in different universes.
Right. There can't be two Brachius Maximus in the same world.
So there were huge piles of just Modron parts all over the place, and these black cubes moving through the air that were landing and just sucking up the piles of Modron parts. We ran into some damaged Modrons, and then some other figures that appeared to be faceless with just some yellow liquid behind a faceplate that Brachius recognized as servants of the Vermiurge. They turned out to be humanoids who had been encased in some sort of armor that had this faceplate on it that were serving the Vermiurge for whatever reason. At one point, Fishay tried to drink the yellow liquid that fills the faceplate, and it seemed familiar to him, but he didn't really share with us in what way it was familiar. We just thought it was disgusting that he was just drinking random yellow liquids that I assume is just the pee circulating through this stilt suit that these people were wearing.
Have you seen my piss? Oh, there it is.
What happened? We bumped into Gertrude Wilson, who was there. We saw actually a figure run and dive into one of the black cubes as it was sucking up the Modron parts. But then we ran into Gertrude Wilson, who had brought sandwiches and was transported to Mechanus by a silver sphere, much as we were. But she had been in some magical kingdom somewhere run by a mouse, some sort of sentient mouse. Brachius, however, had never heard of any place called the Magical Kingdom or encountered a sentient mouse before, so he wasn't really sure where they were from. But it turned out that her son, who had run into the cube, was none other than Twinkie Wilson, who we had met before and who had transported us or given us the technology to transport out of Golden, Mississippi, well-known Vermiurge prison.
That's right, we bad, that's right. You don't want no shit either.
To this universe that Fishay is from. Once we met with Twinkie, I think actually the mother told us that he had gotten a job as a cashier at Groom Lake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to come up again since he's now been transported to Mechanus. And he was sporting a Poison t-shirt this time.
Correct. Right.
He identified Scuttlebutt as the Tony Stark from a parallel universe. I'm not sure which universe is Tony Stark he believes Scuttlebutt to be. I don't remember, like 808 or something. 807.
804.
804.
Yeah.
There was a fair bit of questioning about Tobias's employment status because Brachius believed him to have been fired. He brought potatoes. I'm not sure if they're cooked or not, but he was offering potatoes as Twinkie's mother was offering sandwiches. Twinkie recommended you not eat the sandwiches, though, as there's something wrong with them. Tobias ate the sandwiches. I'm just waiting to see what happened. We were then darting from pile of Modron parts to pile, trying to avoid any of the minions of the Vermiurge, when we encountered a half-elf wielding a rapier. He also had been transported by one of the silver spheres, but we're not really 100% sure who he is. What happened after that? We managed to make it to the temple at some point and ducked inside as we saw a Vermiurge nightmare chariot descend, completely overshadowing this entire temple complex. Inside was Prime One, who had apparently summoned us all there to lead his forces into battle, but all of his Modrons appeared to be damaged or dysfunctional in some way. Probably they had been in a fight already. Most of them were just in that pile, in the series of piles outside, but the ones that were left did not look like crack troops. So Brachius prevailed upon him to consider retreat as the only strategically viable option at this point. And Prime One, although reluctant, did eventually give in to that. We were then trying to figure out how to get out of where we were and back to our normal world.
Fichet did offer an alternate route.
Right. Fichet was going to start casting banishment. But at this point, we were the half-elf and Twinkie Wilson and Twinkie Wilson's mom. And I don't know if Prime One was coming, but it was also the three of us who were there. And Fichet could only really transport like 3 people. Although it didn't really come up because we found an alternate solution. Brachius was actually not going to leave 3 people here to die when the nightmare chariot descends. So probably he was going to give up his spot to one of these 3 people, maybe the half-elf, since I don't know if Twinkie and the mom were going to split up. But as it turned out, Prime One also had his own ship ready, an escape ship, the Prime One ship, or POS. Mm-hmm. So a ladder descended from the ceiling, and we climbed up it into the POS. And it turned out the ship was the figure of Prime One, of Primus, on top of the temple. And it launched into the sky when Prime One took off his Primus suit and revealed he was actually just a sentient rabbit.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure if he's just like an anthropomorphic centric rabbit or what.
Yeah.
It's so rich and thick and chocolate that you can't drink it slow. If it's quick, Leo.
So he's something like the Trix rabbit, or
yeah, something like that.
The Nestle chocolate milk rabbit. And then we were on our way. We were traveling away from this planet where the Modrons were living, and that's where we ended.